Welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast and YouTube channel. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how do you deal with difficult clients as a professional organizer. This is one you are going to want to get a pen and piece of paper for and take down some notes, because as a professional organizer, you are going to have times that you run into clients that are difficult in one way or another. Now, obviously, there's a lot of different ways clients can be difficult or reasons that they might be difficult. But overall, I'm going to give you 5 tips that you are going to want to take notes on. That way, moving forward, you know exactly how to set yourself up for success. There's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that the process goes a lot smoother and that hopefully you can figure out what would work for them and move through having to deal with them as a difficult client. Make sure that you subscribe, you follow, because starting with the next episode, things are going to shift around here. I'm going to be doing a lot more coaching and teaching. I'm going to help you figure out more of who you're called to work with. How do you become a passionate professional organizer and not become just another cookie cutter organizer that looks like everyone else? We want you to stand out, know what you're called to do, know what you're passionate about, figure out all of those puzzle pieces that make you unique and help you stand out with your business, in the marketplace you're in your community. It matters. And then also on those really rough days, it matters that you are passionately called to this, that you are on a mission to help your clients. And when you get to that place, life and work are a lot more fun. And if we're creating our dream business, why wouldn't we make it fun? So I'm doing episode 99 of dealing with difficult clients because it's something we have to talk about. But then starting with episode 100 through 110, it's going to be a series on how to start your professional organizing business. It is one that you are going to want to listen to and take notes on as well. And then after that, we are going to jump into the framework to clarify your calling, figure out your purpose. Who are you talking to? What does your business look like? Why did God call you to what he's called you to? What are you called to? What gifts do you have? There's clues all throughout your past. We need to figure out what path you're on. And the reason I know this is because I walked through a very similar journey myself. When I was starting my business, I spent probably a year and a half trying to figure out who I was and who I was meant to help and what God had called me to. And so I know it's definitely a process, but it's a process worth going through, because once you have those puzzle pieces, business becomes easier, talking to your clients becomes easier, and life overall becomes more fun because you know you are living in your purpose. So again, make sure to subscribe and to follow, and also check out the show notes for all of the goodies I have for you. Right now, I have a back to school special. If you want to come join us in the group coaching community of passionate professional organizers, it's a 2-week free trial, and then it's only $33 a month after that. We do weekly group coaching. I do a workshop once a month. We have the replay vault, which has almost 100 replays in it, in and of itself, that have never been on the podcast or the YouTube channel. So it's almost like a whole separate thing of content that you get access to. And you also get a community of women that are supporting you, inspiring you, all the things. So definitely click the link in the show notes for the back to school special. And then also I have some goodies starting with episode 100. So again, make sure to hit that subscribe and notification bell, because you definitely want to get notified when these next set of episodes release. All right, let's hop into it. I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. How do you deal with difficult clients as a professional organizer? Well, tip number one is it starts with setting clear boundaries early on. So you want to establish expectations from the very beginning. During the phone call, especially during the consultation, you want to clearly outline what the client can expect from your services and what's going to happen throughout those steps. So then that way there's no confusion. That's why we do a consultation, is to also make sure, do they have any other questions? Like, there's so many pieces that you want to make sure that you are laying it out for them so they know what to expect while working with you. So in the series that I'm going to be sending out, episode 100 through 110, I think it's 104 or 106, one of them talks about how to create your "this is what it looks like to work with me" statement. So that way you are setting those clear boundaries. So definitely look forward to that one. All right. Under setting clear boundaries early on, you also want to communicate your policies. This is why I teach all of my ladies and listeners to, during the consultation, you want to make sure to go over your client agreement paragraph by paragraph. And that's why I still do paper ones, is that way I have them clearly laid out in front of us, or you could take a tablet, but you want to be able to point to each one and be like, this paragraph says this says this says, that I'll only lift up to 30 pounds. This one says that once you release something to me, that it becomes my property. So I have the authority to be able to take it to donation centers and to the dump. So depending on how you're setting your business up, that's not the point. The point is you want to be able to convey that during the consultation. So you are setting those clear boundaries and they know exactly what to expect while working with you. And then that way they don't, because the boundaries are very clear. And speaking of boundaries, during the projects and during the process of working with them, you want to reinforce the boundaries that you have in place. If a client starts to push the boundaries, gently remind them of the agreed upon terms. So for instance, I have a $100 deposit to get on my calendar. Now, it took me a while to get here. But once I implemented it, because I used to have a lot of clients that would wait until the night before, or the morning of, and then cancel on me. So now in my client agreement, and I go over it in the consultation, it's $100 deposit to get on my calendar. If you reschedule or cancel it on me within 72 hours of our session, then you forfeit the deposit, and then I need a new deposit to get back on the calendar. Now, if you're sick or something like that comes up, of course, we will move you to a different day. No problem. But just the other day, I had a client that a piece of furniture that we were waiting on didn't come in on time. And we needed that piece of furniture to continue the next step with what we were doing in our process of getting that room ready. And so whenever I told her, I said, it's fine, we'll just reschedule, because it wasn't her fault. But then she's like, so then she sent me $100. And I was like, wait, why did you send me $100? And she said, well, that's what your terms state. That's what the agreement is that I signed. And I'm like, absolutely. I didn't really think about it that way because of the fact that it was like, the shipping, the piece of furniture didn't get here. I wasn't going to charge her. But on her end, she felt like she should still pay me because she had waited to order it until it was too late. And that was the reason the piece of furniture didn't get there. If she had ordered it when I sent her the link, then it would have been there on time. So we have to remember this is a business. I know that the lines can get blurred sometimes because we're in the helping industry and because our clients can sometimes start to feel like friends, but it's still a business. We have to run our business, and the best way to keep from having to deal with difficult clients is just by being very clear up front from the beginning and then all the way through working with them. All right, tip number 2 that you want to write down: practice active listening. Now, if you listen to the previous episode, which was 98, it was about how life coaching can help you as a professional organizer. I talked all about this in that episode because it matters. That is one of the main things that getting certified as a life coach has helped me with, is learning how to ask the right questions, how to hold the space, and then practice active listening. So you want to listen to their concerns. This isn't about you. This is about them. So sometimes difficult behavior stems from underlying worries or stress. So when you listen carefully, you'll be able to understand their perspective. And then you want to paraphrase and validate. So to practice active listening, you want to listen to their concerns. And if they're not giving you information, you always want to check in with your clients and be asking things like, well, did you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? What are your thoughts on that? Like open-ended questions that will get them talking, and out of the mouth, the heart speaks, right? Like whatever they're thinking, they will tell you if you practice active listening. You ask the question and then you listen. A lot of us think that we have to do the majority of the talking and that we have to have all of the answers, and that is absolutely false. We need to be able to practice active listening so then we can figure it out with our clients of what the solution is, so it does work for them. So you listen to their concern, then you want to paraphrase and validate. So you want to repeat back what the client says in our words to show that we understand and validate their feelings. So whatever they've said, you don't want to like repeat it exactly back to them, but you want to let them know, I hear you. So what I'm hearing you say is blank. Is that right? It's always better to ask and check back in with them and make sure that you're understanding what they're saying and where they're coming from. And then you want to ask clarifying questions. So if something isn't clear, instead of assuming, ask questions to ensure that you fully understand the issue before responding to them. Sometimes we can jump the gun or we can take it personal. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure to ask those clarifying questions, so then that way you can make sure, oh, okay, I did hear them right. And clarifying questions can literally be, well, can you explain that a little bit better? Because I don't think I'm understanding what you're saying. Or like I said a second ago, so what I heard you say is that right? Is that what the issue is? Or can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I really want to understand where you're coming from. Any of those will help to clarify. You want to ask or make the statement, leave it an open-ended question, and then zip, listen. I feel like active listening is one of the most overlooked skills as a professional organizer and when working with our clients. So it will help you stand out because your person's going to feel like, wow, I really feel heard and seen for the first time in, maybe forever or years, or wow, like she really made me feel, heard, or I loved working with her because I feel like I was able to be honest and open and she didn't take anything personally. because it's not personal. It's not about us. It's about them. Now, there are going to be a few times, once in a blue moon, hopefully it does not happen to you, but there could be those times that it really is the client, in the sense that they are just a difficult client, and that you start having red flags right from the jump, from the first interaction to the consultation to, when your gut is telling you, or when your Holy Spirit intuition is saying, oh, red flag. Oh, that's a red flag. Sometimes it's better to pass them on as a client, because you're just not the right fit for them, or they may be going through something that now's not the time for them to be doing what it is that they're trying to get done. And not all money is good money. Now, I know that it's like, oh, well, yes, Samantha, like, you work with clients all the time, you stay weeks booked out. Of course, not all money's good money to you. But believe me when I tell you, I am the only person who brings in an income in my family. My husband was in a motorcycle wreck on July 4th a couple of years ago. He broke 28 bones, his neck, his back, the whole thing. So I am the only income we have coming in. So when I tell you, and I understand, and I have kids, teenagers, I have dogs, I have, bills, like, I'm running 2 businesses. I know that when a bill's coming up, it's hard to turn down a client, but I also know that it's better to wait for the right clients than to force something when you are seeing red flags. I promise you. God has got you covered. If you pray and ask and say, God, there were just too many red flags. I cannot deal with this client. Will you please send me an opportunity so I can make my bills? He will show up for you. All right, tip number 3. This goes in with those clients that are extremely difficult. You want to maintain professionalism and stay calm. Again, this is not anything personal. Do not take it as something, get angry and upset and emotional. And no, take it aside, count to 5 or 10 if you need to. Just keep taking those breaths. And point 1, don't take it personally. Remind yourself that their behavior is not a reflection of your skills, but may be a reflection of their own stress. It's a reflection of what's going on for them. It has nothing to do with us. Point number 2, you want to stay composed under pressure. If a client becomes emotional or even confrontational, keep your tone calm and your responses measured. Practice that active listening. Be very aware of what you're saying and how you're saying it, and de-escalate the situation. Now, I've never had a client get like hostile to my face. Normally, it's a client that's like, well, I thought we'd get more done today than what we did. Or, wait, it cost that much and this is all we got done? Or, well, I really thought that the job would be done by now. How come it isn't? It's those types of situations that really reflect who they are and probably how they treat everyone in their life, to be honest, most of the time. Or they're going through a really difficult situation. So you just always want to have compassion and remember, forgive them for they know not what they do. You want to pray for them. You want to thank them. And there have been a couple of times that I have just given this session away for free and just said, you know what? You're not happy with what we've done, and I do not recommend doing this. But if it's a situation that you're like, you know what? I just want to be able to like wipe my hands and be done, then do what you need to do. And for me, I think twice in those situations, what I've done is just said, you know what? I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry that it is not what you thought it was. And then I normally let them know it was my mistake, that I didn't explain things clear enough, or that, that when I didn't explain it. Like, I take the responsibility for it. Even if I know they misunderstood it, I'm not going to fuss with them. It's not worth it. And so there's been twice that I've said, you know what? Today's session is a gift from me. You don't even have to pay me for today, but I do think that we need to part ways because obviously you and I are not the correct fit, but I'm more than happy to look into maybe some other professional organizers in our area. I can get you the number of a few others. I bet one of them would be a better fit to work with you. And specifically, the one lady that I'm thinking of, it was a legit hoarding situation. And she got very upset with me when I started trying to take things out and help her release. She was not ready, even though she kept saying she was. And so at that point, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to refer you out to an actual hoarding specialist. And then the other one, she just didn't get it. Like, she just did not get it. She had not a clue how much work I had done, because even though I told her I work with my clients, not for you, like I can work for you, but I still need you around to check in and like kind of be a part of the process, right? She was like, oh yeah, I understand. She signed the agreement. We set up the session. And then during the sessions, she was like, okay, I'll be out by the pool. And then I wouldn't see her. And I'm like, wait, hold on. We need to be decluttering as we're going through this stuff. And she just kept saying, well, I just want to keep it all. I just want to keep it all. And I just want it done. And then she got very upset that I didn't get more done that day, even though I got so much done that day. There was just a lot more stuff that I didn't see. And so that was my bad for not looking more during the consultation and for thinking that I could get it done in a certain amount of time that I couldn't, which is why I always make sure to tell them, I take this one step at a time. I can give you a guesstimate, and I try to make it like 2 to 4 sessions or 4 to 6 or 3 to 5, like to give myself some wiggle room of how many sessions I think it might take. And I always say a little bit more than what I think, because I don't want to say, like with her, she got upset because I said, oh yeah, I think we could get this done like 2 sessions, because I said I thought she was going to be a part of it and her and I both were going to be doing it together. Well, then all of a sudden she's out by the pool and I'm doing it all myself. And I didn't see the other big pile of stuff. So I say all of that just to let you know that there are times. And so for me, what I did in those situations, I just said, you know what? Keep the money. Like, I get it, because it really was my bad for the one that, well, it was both of our bads, but whatever. And then when I left, I prayed and I said, all right, God, the money I should have gotten that day, plant it as a seed towards my business growing, take it as a tithe and offering, and I give it to you. Please bless her and bless me for her kind of screwing me over. And then I move on, because it's not worth holding on to that stress. I am in this to bless people, to help people, and to keep it moving. So the other one, we're on tip number 3, which is maintain professionalism and stay calm, right? So point 1, don't take it personally. Point 2, stay composed under pressure and keep your tone calm and your responses measured. And then point number 3 is use assertive communication. So you want to be firm but polite in your responses, making it clear what you can and cannot do. Now, not firm as in your tone is firm as in, so in my contract, it says, or in my client agreement that you signed, remember we talked about this, it said, like, whatever that boundary is that you have, if it's one of the times that you need to remind them, do it politely. But remember, they wouldn't go to Walmart and be like, oh, well, the price tag said this, but I would rather pay this. I don't think that's a fair price. Like, there's still a way to be professional, stay calm, be polite, but still have our boundary and be firm about it. All right. Tip number 4, offer solutions, not excuses. I think this is huge. So, first, you want to acknowledge the issue, and kind of like we talked about a minute ago. So, if something goes wrong, own up to it and acknowledge the client's feelings, especially if it's something that you've done. You do not want to be someone that makes excuses. Let them know what has happened, acknowledge that the issue is there, own up to it, and that you understand that they're feeling stressed by that, or that you can see that they're not feeling well about it, and you completely understand. And then point 2 is you want to provide a solution. Instead of making excuses, offer a plan to resolve the issue or suggest alternatives. I understand that you're upset, and so what I can do is blank. Or we could do this, like, whatever the options of solutions could be for that problem, give them an offer of which they would prefer to do. And then that way you're putting it back in their court and you're letting them make the decision. And you're not making an excuse for what happened, you're offering a solution. And then you want to follow up after you do that to make sure, after implementing whatever solution they choose, you want to check in with them again. Don't just assume it's handled. You want to check in with the client to ensure they are satisfied with the outcome. And I tell people this all the time. What we do is a process. It's not a science. It's not a like, oh, every single person does it this way. That is not how this works. Every single person is different. Every client is different. And every situation that we are going to come across is different, which is why I tell clients I take it one step at a time with them to make sure it's going to work for them in the future, that they can maintain it, all of the things. So when we get to an impasse and I let them know, hey, so the options that I see that we could do for this are A or B. If they choose B, okay, great. I implement it, we go through it, but then after it's implemented, I still want to make sure to ask, how are you feeling about this? Is it working for you? I know earlier we had a little bit of an issue, or not an issue. Earlier, we had a situation which comes up, with what we do. I am so glad that you made a decision. How are you feeling about the decision that you made? Or, it's hard to give examples because you have to be in that moment. But what I want you to walk away with today is understanding that when you offer solutions, not excuses, then it gives you the control back. It makes you look so professional and it keeps the ball rolling. And then they want to continue working with you. They don't end up giving you a bad review. You don't have to deal with all the negative things that could come if you started making excuses, or if you started being like, well, there was traffic and this happened and that happened and then. It's a business. Be professional, right? And then offer a solution. All right. Tip number 5, but probably one of the most important ones. You have to know when to walk away. Now, as much as we have talked about these other 4 tips, and they all are ways that we should conduct ourselves every day with every client, there are still those clients, like I was talking about a minute ago, that when you see a red flag and that Holy Spirit intuition, your gut is like, oh, that's not good. Or, oh, wow. Like just certain things they'll say. Like, for instance, that one chick that I worked with, I had convinced myself that because she was a realtor and, she's really well known in my area, that if I worked for her and I went above and beyond, she would just tell everyone and it would get me so much more work. So it ended up being the situation where I gifted her, like I was talking about earlier, where I just gifted her the session, and she was the one that was out by the pool working, and I thought it was going to get done faster than it actually did, and I went against everything that I knew better. but I did it anyways because we're human and sometimes things just happen and we get ahead of ourselves. But when her and I were doing the initial consultation, well, first the phone call, when I asked her what her time frame was, she's like, yesterday. And I kind of laughed because I thought she was joking. So that was fine. But that was the first little like, And then the second one was during the consultation. She had mentioned, oh, yeah, I had a previous organizer at my old house, but in the middle of our sessions, she just up and had to move. That was a huge red flag that I should have immediately. I was like, wow, that's weird. I've never heard that, and so I should have listened instead of getting ahead of myself and thinking, oh, if I do a great job for her. I ended up losing so much money on that job, so much time, so much energy. It was really bad. And so, but the lessons that I learned from it, I'm thankful for it. And again, I just ask God to use all of the money that I should have gotten and bless it to my business and to POC moving forward, because that's all I can do. When you walk away after you've identified the red flags, politely end the relationship. If the situation doesn't improve, respectfully let the client know that you may not be the right fit for their needs. And that's where, with that hoarding situation, we did 2 sessions. The first one was fantastic, but we weren't releasing anything. We were just making a path through the house because it was all clothes and stuff everywhere. And then the second one, when we started actually needing to release some stuff and she started getting very upset and very angry, that's whenever I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have the tools and the skills to help you the way that I'm seeing now that you're needing help, which is another reason why I do one session at a time. Because if she had bought a package of hours, all of a sudden I would have had to reimburse her for those hours, or I would have had to come and keep working with her until that package of hours was completed. And then point 3 under know when to walk away is you want to protect your business and your reputation and yourself and your mental sanity. Sometimes walking away is the best decision for your mental health and the integrity of your business. Trust yourself. When those red flags hit, don't doubt what you know. Understand that not everyone is meant to work with us, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. And so when you end a relationship respectfully by either finding them another organizer, just letting them know, you know what, I just don't think that I'm the correct fit for you. Here's why. And making sure that the reasons you give are very professional and I just don't think I can get the job done, or I don't have the time to get this scope of work done in the amount of time that would be best for you, making it about serving them. And then that way you haven't left a bad taste in their mouth to where they're going to go and start telling people how awful you are and whatever, right? Like, you want to keep it polite, end it on a good note, and then just let them know that you guys just aren't the right fit. And that's okay. That is not a failure on your part by any means. We are not meant to work with everyone. So, with that being said, thank you so much for still being here with me. Let's go back over the 5 tips of dealing with difficult clients, whether that be, but how we should deal with a lot of clients. So, set clear boundaries early on. We should do that with all clients. Practice active listening. We should do that with all clients. Maintain professionalism and stay calm. We should do that with all clients. Number 4, offer solutions, not excuses. We should do that with all clients. And then number 5, the one with the really difficult clients, know when to walk away. I am so proud of you for still being here. I hope you took notes. I hope that this has blessed you. I am so excited for the next series of how to start your organizing business, and episode 100 through 110 make sure to come back for episode 100, where you can hear where we're going here at POC and all of the goodies I have coming down the pipeline for you. I cannot wait to help you figure out your calling and your passion and who you're talking to. And I have so many goodies for the Academy. And then don't forget to check out the links in the show notes of the ways that I can continue helping you start and scale your professional organizing business. I appreciate you. I'm praying for you, and I will see you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to proorganizerscoach.com to find all the ways that we can help you succeed in your business. Remember, you have the power to make a difference in people's lives through decluttering and organization. So keep honing your skills, embracing those challenges, and fostering connections. Girl, you've got this.